Hey everyone, we're back here at Dawson's Market in Rockville for another episode of our wine class minis. We're here again with Eric Platt from Artisans and Vines, and he's going to take us on a trip through France.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's time to talk about France. But first, let me tell you a little bit about, in our first episode that I recorded with Dawson's Market, we talked a little bit about traveling down under to New Zealand and Australia. Today we're going to go to France, but first let me tell you just briefly about Artisans and Vines. So we're an import company based here in Washington, D.C., Maryland suburbs. Their offices actually are in Richmond, Virginia. I live in Maryland, and we sell our wines in about 20 states. About 2 years ago, we started distributing ourselves in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. So Artisans and Vines is the name of our company. And I'm thrilled to be here with you today, and thrilled to be Carly's guest on this series of videos. So I have my map, because I am a map guy. I don't have a big map today, but this is the country of France. So I can bring it closer to the screen so you can see. But this is France. All right, beautiful country, wonderful people, great history in wine, and we're going to take a tour through 4 different distinct wine-growing regions of France right now. So follow me. The first one we're going to talk about is called Bel Jardin. It means beautiful garden. Bel Jardin is sparkling wine. This is actually made in Alsace. Alsace is the northeastern section of France. It borders Germany. Throughout history, sometimes it was Germany, sometimes it was France, but for the last, since World War II, it has been French. And it's a beautiful area. So Bel Jardin is sparkling wine made in Alsace. This is not champagne, this is sparkling wine. It is made up of 2 grapes. It is made up of Chenin Blanc, which is grown in the Loire Valley, which is about an hour and a half south of Paris. And then it's also blended with Pinot Blanc, which comes from Alsace. And the wine is actually made in Alsace, okay? And this is not made like champagne. This is what we call the Charbon method. This is where CO2 is injected into the tanks. It's a more economical way to make what's the word I'm looking for? Easy to drink, fresh, vibrant, very affordable, great value sparkling wines from France. So this sells for under $15, and it is an incredible value. If you're looking for mimosas, if you're looking for sparkling wine by the glass on a Monday morning, which I often do. Bel Jardin is perfect for it. All right? On a day like today, where it's almost 50, yesterday would have been a great day for rosé. So yesterday was almost 60. One of the things that's happened is rosé, and let me show you this bottle. This is the Croix d'Or, so it's pronounced Croix d'Or. And this is rosé made with Syrah grapes. And this is from an area called the Languedoc, which is in the south-central part of France near the Mediterranean. One of the things about rosé is I think years ago it used to be very seasonal, and now it's become something that people are drinking year-round. For me, even in the wintertime, I like a little rosé with a nice salad at lunchtime. I like it with sometimes spicy food. I like it as an aperitif. But certainly as we move into spring and summer, rosé, that is really the peak of rosé time. And this is one of my favorites. So this is a producer. This is made in Carcassonne. And if anybody has been down there to travel, Carcassonne is a very medieval city. There's a famous castle there. And the vineyards for Croix d'Or are in the shadows of the castle of Carcassonne. So this is Croix d'Or. It's made with Syrah grapes, and again, just north of the Mediterranean. And but what's great about this wine and this range of wines is you've got a little bit of elevation in Carcassonne. So you've got some warm days, but because of the elevation, you get some nice cool nights. You've got the Mediterranean coming in with some cool breezes at night. So again, you've probably heard me mention the term diurnal shift. And this is the difference between daytime temperature and nighttime temperature. And in Carcassonne, we get a decent amount of that difference between daytime and nighttime temperature, which really helps the grapes develop over a long period of time and pick up some of those interesting characteristics from the soil. But this is a great wine. Again, under $15. As soon as, today, tomorrow, next week it's going to be in the 60s. Get on board with some Claude Rosé. Now we're going to jump to Bordeaux. And this is a producer called, again, Bordeaux, one of the most famous areas in the world for grape growing. A lot of people think it's red predominantly. There's a lot of great whites that are grown in Bordeaux too. Probably more red than white for sure. But the whites that are grown there are fantastic as well. Now, the grapes that you often see in white Bordeaux are Sauvignon Blanc and a grape called Semillon. Semillon's a grape that's often used in blending because it's thick-skinned, it can be challenging to grow. But this particular producer, and this is pronounced Chateau Cantebadet. 4 syllables, all right? Cantebadet. This is from Rogue de Vallée. This is a subdivision of Bordeaux. And this is actually made with predominantly Semillon. And they do a wonderful job with that. And again, it's a thicker skin grape, it's very complex, it's oily, it's rich, it's deep. There's some minerality to this. There's no oak on it. I love this wine. And this is going to retail for under $20. I would say high teens. And this with some grilled fish, roasted chicken, maybe even some spicy food. This would be great. So Chateau Cantebadet. Now the one thing I would say about Bordeaux is yes, you can find all sorts of producers doing lots of different things and using, whites, 2 grapes that we talked about, reds. There's 5 different grapes that Bordeaux producers can use. Predominantly either Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, and Malbec. And depending where in Bordeaux, Cabernet is going to be on the left bank. So those are going to be wines on the left are going to be predominantly Cabernet based, and wines on the right are going to be more Merlot based. And I know, because of the Sideways movie, people are, have been saying, oh, I don't drink Merlot, I don't drink Merlot. Merlot is one of the finest grapes in the world, and it makes up a big percentage of the Bordeaux wines produced. So if you want great value from France, you're going to get Merlot-based wines on the right bank. All right, so take a look at that. And also, it has a lot to do with the producer. Sometimes producers decide, that they want to use different percentages of those grapes in Bordeaux. And same thing goes for the white as well. Now we're going to jump to Burgundy. And so, to give you a quick lesson in Burgundy, you have white wines in Burgundy are almost exclusively Chardonnay grapes, and red wines in Bordeaux are almost exclusively Pinot Noir. So if you get a red Burgundy, you almost know it's Pinot Noir from different villages, and then white Burgundy is almost exclusively Chardonnay. Okay, so let me show you this producer. This is one of my faves. This is called Domaine de Montaupen Macon Perron. Okay. And this is Chardonnay from the Macon region. So this is South Burgundy. Just an incredible bottle of wine. So Chardonnay, no oak. One of the things I was thinking about doing was I can show you guys how I read the label. So this is the producer, Domaine de Montaupen. Macon is the region. Perron is the village. Okay? Here it says Bourgogne, which means Burgundy. They raise up the bottle a little bit. 2018. So what does that mean? Carly, do we know what that means? It means when the grapes were picked. So when the grapes were harvested. So that's the vintage. So always remember, that's when the grapes were picked. All right? If you look on the back of the bottle, there's always lots of information on the back of the bottle. You're going to see Artisans and Vines, so that's us. That tells you a little bit about the importer. So if you see something from Artisans and Vines that you like, you might find other wines from Artisans and Vines of that same quality that you like. So we always put our label, our insignia on all the back label. The other thing that's important is it talks about, where it's bottled. Bottled at the domain. I think that's very important. So this is estate produced, meaning they grow their own grapes, make their own wine, and it's bottled at the winery. So just to reiterate where we've now been. So here's the map. Here's Paris right here in the north. We started off in Alsace. So here's Alsace, the northeastern part of France, and that's where the Bel Jardin comes from. Just an incredible value in sparkling wine. Then we jumped all the way down, and that's about, if you can get a fast train, a TGV, down to Carcassonne in the Languedoc, that's like right in there, that area. Then we went to Bordeaux, and here's Bordeaux, the purple. And Bordeaux actually has a city, a major city. Bordeaux is a city of about 500,000 people, and it's also one of the largest growing areas in the world, right there. And that's where the Canteloudet comes from an area called Grave de Bailleur. Then we finished up in Burgundy, which is up here. So south of Alsace, south of Paris, you can get there maybe an hour and a half by train from Paris, and you got to Macon-Peron, and that's where the Chardonnay comes from. If you haven't had a chance to visit, I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful country with wonderful people. To give you an idea of how you get there, you would take, if you're coming from the Washington, D.C. area, you're probably going to take a red eye out of Dulles at maybe 10, 11 p.m., and you will arrive in Paris. It's about a 7-hour flight. So you're going to leave at 11, and you'll arrive the next morning, probably around 10 o'clock in the morning. And my advice to you is do not go to your hotel and go to sleep. Go to your closest coffee shop, get a double espresso, down it, maybe go to your hotel, take a quick shower, and go, because that city is waiting for you. It's a wonderful city. You'll have a great time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Eric. Everybody please like and share this video. Each one will be an entry into our giveaway that will be announced tomorrow. Thanks again, Eric.